Thanks for joining us. If you're just joining, we're still on the POLITY between live from the nation's capital in Abuja. And now we've gotten to the part where we bring our guest analyst. And with us in the studio today is Dr. Suleiman Abdullahi, a foreign affairs analyst. Welcome to the program, sir.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
It's good to see you, sir. Okay, right. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of today, let's start with Gabonese President Ali Bongo Ondimba is under house arrest, and one of his sons has been arrested for treason. Military officers said on Wednesday, today, around the early hours of today, after announcing they had overthrown the government, which begs the question. It looks like a lot is happening in Africa, right? I'd like to have a kickback on let's start with the coup in Gabon before we get into all the African states. The coup in Gabon becomes the 7th coup in Africa since 2019. Now, the country has been ruled by a father and son since 1967. The seized power in the Central African country because elections held over the weekend were not credible enough. Now, President Ali Bongo has ruled Gabon since 2009. His father, Omar Bongo, ruled Gabon from 1967 to 2009, which begs the question. In Africa, we claim to run a democratic system of government. Is it really a democratic system of government? We're going to get into that. Now, let's talk about African leaders as a whole, and let's take it to Cameroon, where someone said it's a sit-tight syndrome for African leaders. We have Paul Biya of Cameroon. He was born 13 February 1933 and has been ruling Cameroon since the 6th of November 1982. Biya is 90 years old at the moment and has been in power for 41 years. Now it begs the question, why do African leaders want to die in power? Africans are against military rule, and of course we say we practice a democratic system of government. My question, should Africans return back to our African traditional rulership where norms and values of society are respected? And which brings us to today's topic, the military juntas. Emerging trend across the Sahel. I'd like to get your own opinion about every of this thing that's been happening it started from Niger, of course. We're still trying to battle with Niger and say, let's get everything back on track. Now we've moved on to Gabon. Now, away from Gabon, it looks like there is another country in Africa where we have a leader that's been sitting there for 41 years. And it's not even as if, it's a monarchical system of government where it passes over from father to son, and then, it's hereditary and all of that. What is really going on in Africa?
You see, quite interesting. If you need to respond to this question, there are a lot of issues surrounding what is happening in Africa. And if you look at the coup experience we are experiencing in Africa, it's mostly within the colony of the French speaking African colony. Then why are we experiencing this? This is the question we should ask. And why is it peculiar with the Central African people? And why is it like this with the Central African countries in Africa? You see, whatever it is in human nature, you must understand that anything that goes around comes around. Mm-hmm. And the moment you continue to push air into a particular cycle, it will come to a point whereby it cannot take anymore. Yeah. It has to burst.
Burst, yes.
And this is what is happening today in Central Africa. The Central Africa has been, they have experienced what we call assimilation of the colonial administration. Mm-hmm. Then now when they want to leave, they want to leave this African region perfectly in peace. They now establish the indirect rule of administration within these African countries. Yeah. This is the difference between the Britain and the Africans. And the French. When the Britons were ruling Africa, they ruled with what we call indirect system of rule administration. The French administer with direct rule of assimilation. You have to respect their culture with every standard, speak their language in their bedroom, in the school, as official means of communication, as a business means of communication. Mm-hmm. They adopt their cultural way of life in these countries. But if you look at where the Britons rule, they use what we call indirect system of administration. They allow you practice your culture, tradition, norms, everything. But they tell you what they need, what you have to do. Mm-hmm. You do it your own way, but the way it will favor them. These are the differences. And let me tell you, now when the French, colony want to leave, they leave what we call with an indirect means of administration. They enter agreement with their colony, the African countries, how they should live, their reserve, how they should eat, how they should wear, every aspect of their life from A to Z. Look at it: economic, politics, education. Every policy that has to do with this country will have to come directly or indirectly from where? From French country, which is wrong. But we have fought for independent, like you're not independent. Why do you still hold the stick and tell us that, look, this is your independent? Now, going back to the question you asked, it has reached a point that, look, these people have came to realize, look, this is neo-colonialism. We have to fight it to the core.
To the core, yes, that's correct.
And in the 21st century, where human beings are being driven by what? By knowledge and ICT. And you are talking of democracy. Is it democracy? You control my economy? You tell me, yeah, I'm practicing democracy? You control my education? You control my mental ability, the way I should reason? And you tell me my financial... Look, let me tell you. Bill Clinton said, if you want to control any nation, control its economy. First, the economic strength, might of all these French colonies lie with the French government. Their reserve, their money, they give you loan, they tell you it is your money. How is that? With your father married you out and tells you when do you go out with your husband and tell you when to bear children and when not to bear children? That is not marriage. This is what is happening. It is boomeranging back. And it is time for them to know that what is happening now is, look, it is a new birth in rebirth of Africa. Yeah. The African leaders have now come on age. This is another form of what? Revolution.
Revolution, yeah.
In the 21st century. I'm telling you, what they are asking the French guys to leave, it will come back to what? The English-speaking what? Nation. Nigeria will wake up one day and tell Shell, go. Total, leave. You don't Shell, go away. Sobaja, go. We don't need
but
you.
Even sorry to cut you short. Even in all of this, do you actually think even Africa as a whole, we are ready to actually own up and say we can rule ourselves? Because now you've clearly stated that all of this is happening in the French colonized countries, right? Now take Gabon for example. The French are not actively there, yeah. But then look at the president. He's been in power since 2009, and even prior to that, his father was the president then. Do these French people, do they actually have a hand in all of this too? Because the question is, are we actually really ready for a democratic system of government?
You see, our politics today is being still controlled by these foreigners, by these colonies, colonial masters, even up to today. Direct or indirect neocolonialism has, to me, it has nothing to different between neocolonialism and colonialism. You understand now? And we are going to face what we call post-neocolonialism. We like it or we don't like it. After this, you have post-neocolonialism, of which some we are still experiencing it. Let me tell you one thing you need to understand. You see, these people, these colonial masters have undermined, have read the mentality of the black. That what the black need, if you support them and give them what they want, they will sit in power and do your bidding.
The bidding.
And this is what is happening today in Africa. The moment you say you are not doing their bidding, they will change you, bring military coup to take over from you. Who killed Murtala Muhammad? Who mastermind the overthrow of Murtala Muhammad? Nkrumah, what happens to him? In Nyerere, what happened to them? Who masterminded their officers in office, in power? And these are Pan-African leaders with philosophical thought and leadership quality in Africa that today you cannot undermine them. Let me tell you, if we have to look at what is happening today, it is a time the African leaders should live up to expectation and tell the colonial master in whatever standard, we don't need you. Leave us, let us live to the mental structure of our political ability or inability. Then it is we Africans that will fight for ourselves and stabilize our politics and our democracy. If you look at it, internally or externally, let me tell you, it is not the issue of father being in the power for maybe 56 years. That's, you understand, a family. That's not the case. If Bongo Senior and Bongo Junior are not doing the bidding of the French colonial master, they will have kicked them out of that system.
But do you actually think, even I get your point, but should they have actually been empowered? Like, it feels like the ministry had even slept for a long time.
Fantastic. This is what I'm still telling you. In a normal democratic system
of government,
you understand now, if they will have allowed the African to choose for themselves and let the African be the African leaders and rulers of themselves and citizenship in their own mentality, in the normal structure of African contest, I'm telling you, Bongo will not live there after his second tenure. Because there is still what? A power that mastermind, that control that tool, who have to live there. If you are doing the bidding of the colonial master, I'm telling you, if they want to live there in the next 100 years, nobody cares. You practice democracy, not democracy, nobody cares about democracy. It is only one interest. Let me tell you, in the international, in the community of in the community of nations, no permanent friend, no permanent enemy. Nations are after their interest. Up to today, America practice one system of theory of system in the international scene. That is the realist system of government. Look, if anybody trample on your right, on what you need, just break it. If it's the nation, bring that nation down. If the leader, do away with it. As far it was, it's crossed our red line. It has been American system of government since over 350 years of that country. And they have been in war in any year, every year, year in, year out. America have been on war. You understand now? So their system, and look, they don't compromise it. You understand now? So what we are saying here is that, look, the colonial masters, the Europeans, I have to open up to you, they are after their interest, not the African interest. Let me quote this guy for you. I will quote Metama Yusuf Suli. He said in 1964, he met this chap, this professor in the US, and he bet them, he said, I know you guys are out here to get sympathy for Africans so that you will see how Africa, how Nigeria in particular could be developed. He said, these guys, the Europeans, are not interested in developing Africa. If they can bring in robots to wipe away the Africans and get your natural result, they will do it. Particularly Nigeria. So Nigeria is that, look, they have the human capacity. They have the resources. And the fear is that Nigerians are so intelligent and very smart. He goes on to say, like, look, if you allow Nigeria, that is why we will not allow Nigeria to have a peace. The moment you give Britain space, a peace and stability in Nigeria for 1 decade, Nigeria will turn to be another Asian tiger, one of the Asian tiger, another Taiwan, another Japan. So we could not allow that to happen. I'm sorry, what people are looking for will not happen. The Europeans are not after Africans. They are after their interest. Let me tell you. I came across one guy in Julius Berger. He's from Germany. He said to me directly, I have once worked with them. He said, if we have the ability, the opportunity, we'll take all the Nigerian citizens here and take them to Germany, and we Germans will come back here. In the next 10 years, if you come to Nigeria, you will not believe this is Nigeria. So what he's indirectly telling us is, look, we are after your resources. And let me tell you, these guys, the Europeans, will never allow you for one day to have your mental structure stable for you to reason as a perfect human being. Once again, before I move forward, I will quote one poet, one of our leaders. He's an English poet, Dennis Osadibi. Okay. He said in one of his writings, he said, "Do that fear my talent, in secret fear my strength." Why wouldn't they allow us, give us the strength, let's develop as Africans within our own cycle, and let's see, and let's have that space of what? Of real competition between us and the Europeans, see who will edge the others. I'm telling you, if that free space is given between Africa and Europeans, in the next 20 years, Africa will overtake Europe.
Europe, yeah.
100% in every standard of living. We are more cultured than they are. We have a more organized environment and cities, way of life than the Europeans. Europeans don't have culture. They don't have history. Go and check history. They stole most of our history. Artificers, they take it from us. They are copying from us. They trying to destroy our history. All they have is, they know is all about what? Science and technology. And science and technology have ravaged our society. We have come to a point of diminishing return. We are coming down now from technology. What is driving us today is not science and technology, it's reasoning, it's knowledge. And believe me, honestly, let me tell you, the best you will have today in every aspect of human endeavor in terms of reason and knowledge is from Africa.
But do you think the military regime would actually solve Africa's problem right now? Because, of course, we've seen in Nigeria where the military junta has taken over. And now Gabon, they came on here yesterday to say, of course, that they are taking over and then the president is under house arrest. Do you actually think going forward this should be the way to actually sort things out? You see, the military have a traditional, way of doing things within a particular region or country. Okay. The military professionally are being trained to protect the integrity, sovereignty, and the unity of a nation or a state. Okay. Look, today as we are talking, a nation can be threatened directly or indirectly. It could be through academic stuff. Mm-hmm. Before we don't have food security, now we're talking of food security. Hence, after COVID-19, now we're talking of health security. We see the damage caused by COVID-19. Today we're talking about energy security, a lot of security. We're even talking about climate change. We are not looking at what? All those security are now new inventions that have to do with human endeavor system that you cannot do away with them. So what we are saying here is that, look, these issues of coup going on in Africa, particularly within the Central Africa, it is another form of what? Of revolution. Ask that, look, enough is enough. We need what? A perfect and a smooth what? Dependent. Let's give us our dependent. Let's be independent. What we are dependent on you, let's be independent. 100%. But even if we're independent, do you think our African leaders are actually strong enough or mentally buoyant? Because of course,
if our military will fight directly or indirectly system of what? Of neo-colonialism, that will say the military also have come of age and look, we need to fight for what? For the mental, physical and psychological what? Neo-colonialism to get our nation back, and the African now will come to reason beyond the military.
But you have to think
now, let me tell you, in the military, there's what we call defense transformation. Yeah. Defense transformation have to do that. Look, every aspect of governance today, the military must key in to protect it. The military must protect democracy. Yeah. The military must protect the social structure of Nigeria. The military must protect what? Every economy, every aspect of Nigeria, not just what? The physical security strategy we are talking about. No! Even as we are sitting, the media should be protected by the military. In their own form. There are research going on as I'm talking to you. The military today are part of the academic structure of Nigerian educational system today. They are really pumping billions of naira into research. And they are coming up with good research paper. So what I'm saying is that, look, let me tell you, today, the military are not just coming into now to say, look, we are seizing power because we need money, we need power. No. They need to change the rhythm, the tone of the political system in Nigeria in relationship with what the colonial master. Look, the people that will fight for this now is not the intellectual, it's the military. If they have taken over and they cut off the colonial master completely 100%, because now if the colonial master want to fight, then they will fight the military, not the civilian.
Not the civilian.
It is between the civilian. Yes, bring all your ammunitions, bring all your tanks, all what you have. After fighting the military, at the end, the civilian will come out because they will have seen the genuinity of the cause of the military are fighting, and they will support them. That is what has happened in what? In Niger. Believe me honestly. So by the end of the day, the French master have nowhere to go. This is not golden fish. It's a dark fish in the golden water. Let them go away. We don't need you. In Mali, up to today, they say they don't need you. Go away. Burkina Faso say we don't need you. Go away. In Niger, they say we don't need you. Go away. Now in Gabon, we don't need to go. What are they waiting for? They are the big monster in this in this nation. They say we don't need you. If you have good intention, I really mean good. I say, look, okay, I mean good for you. Since you don't need me, sorry, I will go with my golden spoon. Must you breastfeed me with a golden spoon? No. So let them go away and leave African to Africa. Let the African decide and rule, bring out the editorial system of politics, and let's see in the next decade, not century, in the next 10 years, you see what will happen to this country. If they are not doing it right, it is the same Africa will lead the demonstration against the African leaders. For example, it happened in Nigeria. It's quite simple. Obasanjo need third term. Atiku was in the forefront, fighting his boss. No way for third time for you. That was the evil Atiku has committed before Obasanjo as his boss.
Maybe we have been in Gabon case right now.
You understand now? So now let me tell you, it was Atiku lead the mastermind of what within the same cycle government in Villa.
But what's with African leaders and wanting to stay in power forever? I mean, now that you've spoken about it, that you said, oh, we need to actually do away with our colonial masters. Even doing away with our colonial masters, is it enough? Because now we cannot totally say the whole of Africa will be ruled by the military guys, correct? There will still be some countries where we have to have the civilian rule and all of that and practice what we call democracy, even though we know that it's not totally democratic in African countries. But then the question is, will these leaders stay true to the democratic system of government for real?
You see, we say democracy is a learning process. It's a process where you grow from one state to the other.
To the other.
Now, we are looking at, let me take Nigeria as a case study.
Okay.
Children in the from 21 years, when we started this democracy in 1999, we never thought it would be as expensive as what it is today. But is it the leaders that are shouting that democracy is too expensive? You should see it is the children that have been born from 1999 till today that are shouting that democracy is too expensive for us in Nigeria. And if we like it or we don't like it, it is better we start to look back and take corrective measures. Because if a child of 25 years is telling you, daddy, what you are doing is wrong, a daddy of 65 years, 70 years, your grandchild supposedly is telling you, daddy, what you are doing is wrong. The cost of democracy is too expensive. That shows you as a grandfather, you have to think wisely and take a wisdom step that are wisdom in nature for you to calculate, consult your ancestors. What has happened to them before and what is going to happen.
Now.
You understand now? Let me tell you, what we fail to understand is that, look, if you look at what we are going, it is not our making. The society are becoming more learned.
Exposed to?
Exposed. No, I use that word learned.
Learned, okay.
Because lawyers actually use it.
My
learned colleague.
Colleague here.
Every Nigerian is now becoming a learned colleague. A layman will defeat a lawyer in the court. If you know a way. It's a matter of logic as logism, who have the experience argument and logic to give your final submission. So what are we saying? Is that, look, in this aspect, if our leaders that want to sit tight in government, believe me honestly, somewhere from nowhere, the people will get it right and say, look, enough is enough. And that will be a turning point where we get it right. Have you forgotten the issue of SARS must go in Nigeria? How does it started? It's from Lagos, split over to Abuja, from Abuja to Port Harcourt, all over the country. But it's not a good measure to our nation, image, international and nationally. But what we are saying is that, look, let our leaders look and forget the issue of sit tight. The moment you get into power, think of what are the quality things you need to do. You understand now? Who do you need to put measures in place for you to get it right? I continue to say, if we said that, look, today we are looking at reasoning and the wisdom in leadership. What leadership is all meant about. It's not how long you stay in power.
In power,
it's
yes.
how you have impacted in the people. The legacy you left behind is what will be the memory people will think about you.
Yeah.
If you are talking of blessed memory of Nnamdi Azikiwe, of Tafawa Balewa, of Sardauna, of Awolowo. These are people of integrity. They didn't leave mansion that these our leaders are looking at. They don't have Otta farm. They don't have this masses building in Dubai where Atiku have his mansions and building an empire there. They didn't create any empire. They live a simple life. And today we have them in record in history. Everybody want to associate their name with them. If you see anybody, if this man you say I'm from our old family, everybody will like to lick your skin. If you say I'm related with Sardauna, everybody will like you to walk on his back. So why? Good names are better than riches. But in this 21st century, I pray and I want you to understand that our leaders are not educated enough as leaders. Yes. Education is not having first degree, second degree, third degree, PhD, honorary degrees here and there, or doctorate degree, or professors. No. The ability to apply knowledge into the field of knowledge. Listen attentively. The ability to apply knowledge into the field of knowledge to get that result is what matters a lot. When you add 1 to add, it gives you 2. That is excellent. If you add 1 to 1, it's not giving 2. There's a problem somewhere.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Suleiman Abdullah. It looks like today it's for African leaders. I'm sure our viewers have learned a lot. And I learned something from your book where you said it's not about how long you stay in power. It's about the legacy you leave.
Yes.
And I'm sure it's going to be an insightful one the next time we have you, because I'm going to key into that, what you said about education not being just going through the 4 walls of school alone, applying knowledge to knowledge. So thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you very much.
It's been an insightful one with you.
Very interesting.
Glad to have you once again on the program. I'm sure this Gabon is going to extend till probably next week, and then we'll bring you back on the POLITY.
You're welcome.
All right, our viewers at home, this is where we wrap it up for this segment. After the break, we'll be joined by NNPC chairman for Katsina State, of course, to analyze the recent happenings in NNPC. Do well to stay with us and sort it out.